Hello and welcome to Backpaddock. This is Katie. Today I'm going to show you how to import mapping files into the Optera system. So we are on optera.net.au for this job, just in a browser, and I've signed in using my email address and default 7-digit ID, and I'm going to click on mapping. So we can do this a couple of different ways. We can do this if you have an existing file, or we can use this process to create a new client file for you. So I will do it to create a new file in this instance, but I'll also show you the other way along the way. So on this mapping screen here, I'm going to use this BPC demonstration dropdown. So these are my existing client files. I'm going to use this dropdown. I'm going to scroll back up to the top and I'm going to click on new. So this is going to allow me to create a new client file name. So I'll just say new client here and save, and then it's going to ask us to create a new farm. I don't really want that to save that as a password. So it'll just take a few seconds to load in between each thing as it creates details. So a new farm name here, so let's say new farm 1, and save. So I have an existing file that I've exported from another mapping engine, and I'm going to use that to import my maps into this brand new file. And I'm actually going to use that to create my paddock structure as well. So now what I want to do is I'm going to click the plus sign in the bottom right corner there, and I'm going to click on import export, and I'm going to select the import option here. So there are 4 options along the top, but we want to import. So I'm going to choose file, and that's going to be my mapping file, which is a KML. If you are using a shapefile, you can select that as well. So I'll just open that one. It's going to have a little think for a second, and it's pulling up my boundaries behind here. So this is where we've got a couple of options. Depending on your file, they may have a lot of different attributes. So I usually go to farm field first, and you can see there's a lot of information in there. But I want farm name there. So if I click on farm name and click set, we can see here that in this file, assigned to these paddock polygons, are 2 different farm names. So there's Aussie and there's farm. So that's fine because I want to import those 2 different farm names and the paddocks associated with those. So now if I go to paddocks and have a look at some of the options, the closest one looks like it would be name. But if I click on that and I click set, I can see that nothing happens in this source here. So I don't want to use that one. Let's try paddock name and click on set. And it's just a matter of clicking through and clicking set until you find the option that gives you the information that you want to import. So at the end of the day, we're creating a client file. Once I finish this import process, it's going to have 2 farms, Aussie and farm. That's what they're going to be called. And it's going to have a number of paddocks, and that's what they're going to be called in this source column here. So as long as this is how you want it to be, we're all good. Now, the other option, I'll just click on import all, it's not going to do it yet, but if you're importing boundaries for an existing client file, you would still do this process, but then this paddocks dropdown would become available, and you would click on your real paddock name to say this is the boundary for this paddock name. So for example, F1 might actually be field 1 in your client file. You would use the paddocks dropdown to select field 1. And then all of your paddock names or block names would stay the same, and it would just bring in that boundary and attach it to that existing paddock name. So this time I'm going to update paddock area from map because I am doing it all from scratch. Also, if you did have some really accurate mapping files and you did want to overwrite your paddock area with the map, with the actual values that are in here, do that as well. And I'm going to click import. Proceed to import. I'm going to confirm yes. It will say imports in progress now. So it's just a matter of waiting for a few seconds here, and then we'll be able to sort of see what it's done. So I'll just pause this for 2 seconds. Okay, so there has been about a sort of 1 minute wait since I paused that video. So it does take, this is about 30 paddock polygons here. So we're probably looking at 2 to 3 seconds per boundary. So if you do have a file that has 100 paddocks, it might take a couple of minutes, and you'll just see it happen on screen. So it'll say that it's importing, and then it'll say that it's loading. So now in the background here, I don't see any more waiting things here, and I can also see yellow and red behind. So I'm going to click on close here. I'm going to clear the import layer, close this little thing down here, and there are my maps imported. So if I refresh this now, then we'll see that my farms will be visible, and that is job done. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.